All right, photo 2, I want us to repeat like what steps you could be taking to improve your, this is post-production. So production is everything we've been doing for weeks now, which is producing and creating the shot in camera. And then post-production is everything that you're doing after the picture's taken. And so make sure that you get a dongle from the purple box and that you import your photos over to your iPad, and then you're going to open them up in Photoshop. Okay, so I have Edgar's and I have Brian's in here, and I even have Mark's to show you some things that we could do in Photoshop when we're editing our bokehs. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Mark's, and this is what Mark's looks like before post-production. So I'm going to go to Photoshop. Okay, and I'm going to hit create new, and I know that I want the finished print to be 8 by 10. That's a very standard size for photography. So width W should be 10 and H should be 8, and units should be inches. And then I'm going to hit create. Okay, so that creates a new document that's 8 inches by 10 inches. And then I'm going to, on the left in the toolbar, I'm going to hit the picture to bring in a file, and I'm going to hit photos. And I'm going to go to my library, and I'm going to Brian's. Okay, now I'm going to rotate his slightly because I want it to be more like straight. His is on like an edge, which he could do this. This is called a Dutch tilt when you have it on a tilt like this, but it actually creates imbalance and unsteadiness in your viewers, and it's up to you if you want to use that kind of style. So I'm actually going to rotate it, and then I'm going to enlarge it, and I am using my stylus. So guys, do you have your stylus? Did you lose your stylus? I'm actually going to a little bit slightly more this way. Yeah, I want them to be more straight. Okay, and I'm very happy with this. Okay, and I'm gonna hit done. Now if you do this and you're like, oh, I still don't like it, you can go back up to transform scale and rotate and hit done again if you still need to move it around after your first try. Okay, very least you need to crop. Okay, so if you still need to crop, then you can pick the crop button, but you really should, be at 8 by 10 already. When you actually brought it in and rotated it and resized it to 8 by 10. Okay, so that would count as cropping. The other thing you need to do is add a adjustment layer. Okay, so I'm going to hit the plus over here on the right, and I'm going to hit adjustment layer. And it's up to you if you want to use curves or if you want to use levels. Okay, so you have to do either or of those. And then it's up to you if you want to do any more creative editing. Okay, don't take it so far that it's like putting what Miss Corcoran says, putting lipstick on a pig. Getting too crazy with it. But I'm going to go ahead and get curves out, and I'm going to bring up my brights. And if you can't see it, you can click and drag it up and bring down my darks. And I'm happy with that. Okay. So the other technique that I wanted to show you, okay, and I'm good with my curves, is I'm actually going to take that layer before curves, and I'm going to, this is my layer 1, the picture that I brought out, and I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to go to the plus, and I'm going to say JK. I'm going to go to the dot, 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 and I'm going to select duplicate layer. And it's just so that like it's a guarantee if I screw up the one, the one on top really bad, that I have the other one to come back to. Okay. So what if I wanted to do more of these shapes? Okay. So have this one layer selected, and I'm going to go over to my selections, and I'm going to just go ahead, and you could use quick selection or magic wand. Let me try quick selection. And I am going to select one of my bokehs. Okay, and remember that you have all these different things you can do here. You can refine edge. If I might actually shift the edge just a little bit out a little bit. You can smooth the edge, feather, contrast, or whatever. And then there's like different things you could do with it. You could erase. So after I've selected it, I'm going to hit mask. Okay, and now I have this extra one. All right, so I'm going to go to the dot, dot, dot and duplicate. Oh man, duplicate. Okay, I have to select the mask on the left, then dot, 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 and then duplicate. Then I can select, oops, I'm going to deselect, and I'm going to use the arrow tool over here on the left, and I'm going to click and drag, and I can move this around. So now I have another one, another bokeh. So say if I have like this area that you're like, oh, I really wish I had something up here. So now notice this is very harsh. Okay, so don't forget you can go to your plus and go to adjustment layers. And I'm actually going to go to properties first. And I'm going to go to blend mode, and I'm going to go to dark. No. Did I use darker or lighten? So you can go through these different blending modes until you get one that I like, usually overlay. Until you get one that you really like how it's blending with the background. I kind of like that. I don't know. There's different ones. Kind of like lighten. Okay. And then you can bring down the opacity. Okay. And if you're not happy with the color, you could always go to add a clipped adjustment layer, and you can go to color balance, and you can play around with like the color of that bokeh. And I think I would bring down the opacity just a little bit more. So that's how you can kind of play around with, you know, having another one and kind of making it look like it was supposed to be there. And then of course you can always transform it if you want it to be bigger, you know, in size, or put it with the transform. Okay, so I'm done with that one. And that was just kind of an example of how you could add another bokeh. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention, I'm going to bring up Edgar's here to show you. So I'm going to do it from the beginning again. I'm going to hit create new inches 10 by 8 and create. I'm going to bring in Edgar's right here, hit photos, and here's Edgar's. Okay. So again, I'm to out. All right, I'm happy with that, and I'm gonna hit done. Okay, so let's talk about, I had you guys do that summative with the healing, and what I want you guys to do is actually use, when you select a clone tool, I actually highly recommend the healing brush, so you can actually pick where you want the pixels to heal from, okay? Or you can do the clone stamp. So the first thing you need to do is target the area where you're going to pick some pixels from. Now notice in the lower right hand corner he doesn't have the turf there, so I'm going to make more turf. I'm targeting right here, and then I'm targeting, I'm holding down that like circle in the lower left hand corner. I'm targeting this area. I'm good with that. There we go. And then I'm going to start painting. So this is the size of the brush that I'm painting with, and this is the hardness or softness of the brush. So I'm going to do it like a mid, and then now I can paint, and I'm going to target again over here, and so that's where it's stealing pixels from and putting it over. Now that was like very harsh, so I'm probably actually going to go back to more of a soft brush, and that looks a little bit more natural. So I specifically picked from like the softer out of focus grass over here to steal from to fix that in, but I could, you know, target right here, up here, and do more natural grass and fill that in down there. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention was maybe you want to actually get rid of bokehs. Maybe you actually don't like some. Like Edgar here has in the upper left-hand corner like circular ones on the very edges because of, you know, the whole idea of this bokeh cover. So I wanted to mention you can use the paintbrush. So here's the paintbrush. Again, you can pick a different size, the different hardness, if you want it to be soft edge or harsh. But I wanted to point out that when using it, I really recommend not just using just black, but actually using the eyedropper. So if I pick the eyedropper, I can, when I select it, it shows up, and then you can click and drag it to an area of black, because that black is probably not 100% black. It probably has a little bit of orange in there or whatever. Okay, and now I have my brush selected, and let me pick a size. I'm okay with that. And maybe I want to get rid of, I don't know, the circular one. And so I can go in there and I can delete it, and then I know that I can copy and paste some to start over again if I'm not really happy with some. And we just saw that from Brian's, how I can copy and paste to get like a whole one in there. So now I can go over to, I would take this and I would duplicate it. I'm sorry, dot, 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 duplicate the layer. And then I would go to selections, and I'm gonna use quick selection, and I'm gonna select probably the one, like this is a pretty good one. Yeah, I did a good job of that. And now I can mask this one, and I can move it, and I can resize it, make it overlap, hit done. And again, I can play around with the opacity of it, and I can play around with the blending mode. How is it blending with other, I kind of like the lighten one on this one. And I probably could have done a better job of you know, cutting it out a little bit with defining the edges. But that's, again, how you can kind of like paint in areas and then make your own bokehs to really emphasize it. And then again, Edgar would just have to go to add a clip adjustment and either do curves or levels, bring up the blacks and the lightness of that, which I think they already did because they already turned theirs in. All right, that's what I wanted to show you guys. Good luck. Don't forget, if you mess anything up, on the upper right hand corner there's the step back button, and just let me know. All right.